I wanted to note that we are more than halfway through 2025, obviously, and we are looking at a year where there's tremendous change in the marketing and technology space. As I was thinking about how much AI has disrupted things, good and bad, I've been thinking about what marketing trends from a process standpoint are going to be affected, and came up with a list of a few that I thought were noteworthy. Let me know what you think in the comments, but let's talk about some things that are just going to end in 2025, some trends. Now, first of all, let's talk about the blind AI content gold rush. So in 2024, people were starting to use AI, play around with it. In most cases, the AI generated was pretty bad. It's gotten better, but 2024 was the year that everybody was experimenting with it. The year 2024 was AI writes everything. The 2025 was the year that AI writes and everybody ignores it. So let's look at YouTube. The AI slop trend has channels pumping out surreal and low effort videos that are read by hundreds of people. And The Verge has reported that audiences are starting to ignore them, starting to unsubscribe. Search engines are cracking down. Search engines can sense a lot of this content. And Google's March update last year nuked sites full of AI content for the purposes of ranking. And Ole, I think I can believe that only AI and human editing will survive, and the rest will be right to the dumpster. Optimizely reports that nine of the top 100 fastest growing channels in July 2025 featured only AI generated content. So a lot of people aren't happy about that, obviously, and it maybe isn't good for our culture, maybe isn't good for our brains. I don't know. I think that audiences are really fatigued by misleading and hollow AI content, and it's probably about time. I don't know that AI content will ever get to the point where it's really enriching either the creator or the consumer. Maybe that's a trend that we can say good riddance to. So next, let's talk about another trend in marketing: influencers. I think that the fatigue around influencers is going to peak, and that we will see fewer and fewer of these influencers getting brand deals because their endorsements will be ineffective. So in the past few years, brands have thrown a lot of money at influencers. Even micro influencers are specific to city, neighborhood, kind of restaurant, all sorts of things. So feeds, if you're on social media, it's just packed with these influencers and their posts that are just obvious ads. Sometimes they're labeled as such, and other times they're not. Let's see, I've got a stat: the 2025 Influencer Marketing Hub benchmark report. Spending on smaller campaigns fell 10% this year, and spend on greater than $500,000 campaigns fell 3%. Just, those aren't huge drops, but I think they represent one of the early signs that this trend might be passing. I think it just has oversaturated our social media feeds. It seems easy money and too many people are doing it, and it's just hitting on deaf ears. All right, let's talk next. Number 3, newsletters. Now, I love newsletters, so this one is hard for me to say because we've actually seen some success with a newsletter for market surge, and I think it's a valuable piece of media for us to share our thoughts and get some engagement. But if you look at Substack, for instance, let me leave Substack to the side. The average B2B email open rate is already stuck at 21%. That's not great. And inbox fatigue is real. By the end of 2025, I really think that newsletters that are just full of junk are going to be unsubscribed extremely fast. Just this week in my email, they added a new feature that makes it even easier to unsubscribe from newsletters in mass. And I think if you're not presenting value, if it's just causing inboxes to be full, you will be unsubscribed. And I think that's going to happen this year. All right, let's talk a little bit about number 4, which I would call social media vanity metrics. What's a vanity metric? A vanity metric is a metric that is a method of scoring or quantifying a brand's reach. And let's be real, it is hard to quantify a brand's reach, but there can be some signs like subscriber count, follower count, shares and retweet, video views or comments. The same thing can happen on the website with views and traffic and email open rates, impressions, but none of those things necessarily correlate to sales. Market Surge, we share a business name with a product that is very popular in the financial services industry, and we get some ups and downs around financial events that affect our traffic, but it has nothing to do with adding new clients or new business to our portfolio. So that is a metric that just is useless for us. Follower counts, also useless. It doesn't matter how many people are following you or subscribe to you if they are not converting, if they are not actually doing sales. And likes don't do payroll. 5% of marketers admit they still track vanity metrics and show them as evidence that they're doing a great job, but they are unable to tie it to revenue. All right, let's talk about another thing is cookie bypass workarounds. So browsers recently and in recent years have started blocking or killing third-party cookies. Now, much to the dismay of anybody that's spending ads, it makes our ads less effective. It's very frustrating. We had a few good years where we could really target people based on their interest. Now, the current legislative environment and powers that be in tech, they agree that the privacy concerns outweigh the potential business benefits. It's a fine tightrope that we have to walk with sharing information. And I could see both sides of the argument, but what we're trending towards is less and less browsing activity being shared with businesses, essentially. And many of these hacks that included things like browser fingerprinting or adding tracking IDs into links, CNAME cloaking, or using local browser storage to track people. So this is getting into the technical realm here for data acquisition about individuals. But each of those are going to go away. I think the browsers will continue to crack down more and more, and they do violate the spirit of this kind of legislation, and they will ultimately be banned or penalized. So let's talk about user-generated content, number 6, and those UGC style ads. Now, user-generated content is fantastic, but a lot of marketers have engaged in user-generated content or simulated user-generated content. So now, as I mentioned earlier, talking about influencers, there's a few examples that come to mind. So an actor is hired to film a testimonial and they pretend that they're a customer, and they're shot in a way that'll look like it was done on a low quality screen or a phone camera, and they're done in a casual environment, but they're just way too effusive, just over the top. People in most cases can sense that it's an actor. Who gets that excited about a used car sale, for instance? Next is creating ads that have stock photo reviews. Either the photo is too high quality or too AI looking, and these same images often appear on multiple companies' ads because we all pull from the same stock photo databases. Staged unboxings, so people act like they are opening a product for the first time, a product that they bought, and they act like it's totally spontaneous, so they filmed it. Who does that? Who films an unboxing unless they spend like $1 million on the product? I just don't see it. And unboxing just is emblematic of a consumer culture that just feels a little icky. And then any AI generated reviews, same as the stock images, problematic, unethical, also just creepy. And then anytime a company recruits their employees to write reviews to offset bad reviews, that's just not good. And it erodes trust. It's not necessarily very legal or ethical, hopefully that just goes away and we can really focus on real content and real reviews. Number 7 is overly complex customer journeys. Just because you can diagram a very complex customer journey doesn't mean you should. And some brands have turned their marketing funnels into Rube Goldberg type machines that like are pulling data here and here and sending all sorts of notifications. It makes the client often feel like they're being watched or monitored or surveilled. And rather than speed up decision making, it just makes the customer feel a lot of friction. It's like, why are you always like in my ear? I didn't necessarily want that. I do want to make my own decision. I don't want just to be reminded all the time. And I think people have seen the path of getting so many notifications and reminders, it just wears them out. The funnel process of offering mini offers that are like escalating. Oh, here's 10%. But if you pay $500 more, you'll get 25% off. And people just can see through that and they feel this just will keep going forever, won't it? Focus on being high quality and have quality touch points. Don't focus on lots of touch points or lots of complexity or give the consumer or customer the sense that you are just harvesting all their data. Keep in mind the term friction. If you are over communicating, you are creating friction with your customer. Brands will really succeed in the future if they simplify rather than complicate their conversion funnels. So finally, posting everywhere for the sake of it. Now we have a large number of platforms where brands can post about their story, but I think many brands are stretched way too thin and aren't able to do it effectively across a lot of platforms. And so what ends up happening is that you have posts that are formatted for one platform clearly, but then the image shape and the content length just does not fit on other platforms, or it asks you to click on a link when that platform doesn't allow link embedding or refers to a video, things like that, where the URL changes. Just focus on a small set of media platforms, do it very well, and do it of high quality, and do high quality touches. The focus really should be on 2 or 3 platforms where you have some traction and create some real sense of community and authenticity. Those are 8 trends that I see ending in 2025 from a marketing and digital technology standpoint. Please subscribe to the channel. Please give us a positive review wherever you can and comment and share with your friends. Thank you so much and happy hunting.